We've all been there. It's 2 a.m., you just finished the last page of your book, closed the cover, and now you're wrecked. Or elated, shocked, frustrated, distraught, or maybe a combination of so many emotions you can't put a name to what you're feeling.
But there's an ache in your chest, and all you want to do is turn to someone who knows what you just went through, who you can talk about that favorite scene with, swap theories about the sequel, gush over the hottie your main character landed.
You might try to explain it to your significant other, suggest the book to a colleague, or swap a couple surface-level thoughts with a friend who read it years ago. But there's no one who truly gets it. No one who will tear each moment apart with you, put it all back together, and start the next great read by your side. But what if we told you that now there's someone who will?
I'm Brooke.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Elena.
And we're the High Ladies of the Book Court. Let's read your next favorite book together.
Hi, everyone. Today we're doing Tower of Dawn.
I didn't think I'd look this happy reading this book, but I'm glad that I am.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good so far. Just a reminder, we are doing Tower of Dawn before going into Empire Storms. I have read Empire Storms, but Brooke and Elena and I are reading Tower of Dawn for the first time. We did chapters 1 through 18, and it starts off just following Chaol and Nesryn to the southern continent, where he's trying to find someone to help heal him after his injury from Queen of Shadows.
What book was that?
I know, and Queen of Shadows. And also find troops or support for Dorian and Aelin for some big battle that could be happening. Most likely happening.
Almost already happening?
Almost already happening, right?
IP Rifthold?
Poor Rifthold.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that we decided to read this book before what is it? Kingdom of Ash? No, that's the last one.
That's the last one. Before Empire of Storms.
Empire of Storms. Because for anybody that doesn't know, Empire of Storms was published before this. So technically, you're either supposed to read them together, because there's a way to do that, or you're supposed to do Empire of Storms before this. But we all knew that if we read Empire of Storms, we'd never go back to the book that's all about Chaol. So that's why we decided to go with this one first.
You guys are also putting your trust in me by reading this one first. So
yeah.
I think I was super skeptical going into this. It's Chaol, but it's been surprisingly good. And that might just be because of Irene, but Chaol's started growing on me again. I feel like Chaol and I are on a roller coaster. Sometimes we're buds, sometimes I'm like, but what are you doing, sir?
Yeah, if you guys have been following us, we've been having like a love-hate roller coaster, up and down, relationship with Chaol.
Also, if you haven't been following this, I might suggest going back and starting with the first book that we started doing episodes for, which was, which one was that? Air of Fire. We did Air of Fire. Yeah. We didn't realize this was worth discussing about and taping until that book. And so we skipped the first two. But,
Have an overview, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a quick overview. But I had no hope for liking this book, even though I heard a lot of people in the fandom still really liked it. I was skeptical, so I'm not a big fan of Chaol. But I think him being stuck in a wheelchair or a wheeled chair, which I think is what they call it. Yeah. I think him having to go through this really hard part in his life where he's not able to be the captain that he's always been. I think it's making him a better person. I think he's working on himself, which is what he needed for his redemption arc.
Mm-hmm. He's still complaining a lot while he does it.
So much. Yeah. If you haven't read this and you're going to after this, full disclosure, the first few chapters are hard to get through, but they're worth it. Make
The
a
world
cup of
building is
coffee.
nice though.
Yes.
I know. I think I've told you guys multiple times. Like every time I've gotten to like a KL chapter or a section, it just puts me to sleep a little bit. But it's better now that Irene is involved.
Yes. Yeah. Irene is definitely saving him. And I think I said this to you guys, but like going into this book, even like leaving Queen of Shadows, I was not really fully on the Chaol and Nesryn train. Like I felt like it was a relationship of convenience that they were starting. So I was hoping that them going to this new place was going to introduce them to some new people that might make them realize that. And they both have. And I am now like fully invested in this book, like cannot wait to keep reading. And I'm so happy that I'm thrilled with this read. It's great.
I'm
so
so
glad to hear that.
excited. I feel like Chaol and Irene are gonna be so good when they finally realize it. So good. And also, like, if people have been listening, like, we've been waiting for Irene to come back ever since the it's not the prologue. Is it what's it?
Assassin's
it's
Blade.
Not,
Assassin's Blade.
Yeah. It's Assassin's Blade, but it's not called a prologue, is it? It's a
Prequel.
I couldn't come up with it.
Yeah. Which we've discussed at extreme length. So also go watch that if you haven't yet. But
yeah.
And
you definitely need to read the Assassin's Blade before reading.
Yeah, if you haven't read any books, maybe turn this off and just like wonder who we're talking about and go find out yourself.
While we're talking about the Assassin's Blade and how we've been waiting for Irene to come back, I am waiting for the moment where either Chaol or Irene finally admits to knowing Aelin, because neither of them have brought her up to each other, and I just want the moment where, like, Irene realizes the lady that, like, she looks up to so much, Chaol hooked up with, and I want her to be like, why would she stoop to that?
I got excited during the scene where Irene asks Chaol to come and like help her teach the defense class, which she has been teaching to the healers as like her promise to Aelin from long ago, when Aelin was basically like, I saved your life and I'm teaching you how to defend yourself. So the thing that you can do is like pass it on to other women to make sure they can take care of themselves as well. So when she brings Chaol to like help her teach this class, and Chaol's like, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And she's like, yep. It's like, I was kind of waiting for him to realize that she's gone through his exact playbook that he taught to Aelin. But they didn't get there. I mean, I think part of it was from Chaol and Aelin. No?
Mm-mm.
No, because
she saw
Irene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is the problem with reading them out of order. You're right. Because Aelin taught her that before she met Chaol. Okay, so maybe he shouldn't. I'm not giving him enough credit then. Maybe he shouldn't have realized it in that moment, but I was waiting for it. But I think the thing
waiting for that connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to like click or at least like spark some sort of like, oh, that's weird. I should ask her about that later. But I think it's going to be the note. Like they're already starting to open up to each other, and she keeps Aelin's note in her pocket. So I think it's going to be, this is a piece of my heart. Like this woman meant a lot to me and saved my life in many ways. And he's going to be like, that's Aelin's writing. Like what? Just like, it'll be that moment.
I wonder too if the jewelry that Aelin gave her, which is like from Adarlan, I wonder.
Do we know how much of it she still has? Like I know she didn't
just the
use
brooch.
it. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think she said that there are only two things that she wouldn't sell, and it's the ring from her mother and then the brooch that Aelin gave her.
It might be, but like then again, like Chaol wouldn't have seen the brooch because again, like she would have given it to her before meeting Chaol, so I don't know if that would spark it either.
But if he, if he grew up there and he might recognize the colors and be like, hey, that's you. You said you hate Adarlan, like what are you doing with the brooch?
Yeah.
Maybe that will start a conversation.
I
keep waiting.
This moment to happen. Like every time there's a Chaol and Irene chapter, I'm like, can you please finally talk about how much you both love Aelin and realize, like, because Irene still like thinks Chaol's kind of the worst, and I just feel like if she found out they were friends, she'd be like, was she already having those moments? But I just think it's gonna be good.
Also, that like, I mean, there's no denying that she finds him attractive too. Like all the other girls and women at the training, they were all making googly eyes at him. So
He can't even use his legs, and they are all ready to jump him. I was like, hot damn.
I was like, oh yeah, this is why we all liked Chaol, right?
I remember why I had been okay with Chaol for one whole book. I was like, all right, he is dry as a piece of dry toast, but like, if you like him, I guess you can have him because he's hot. Yeah.
I think they're gonna be really good for each other.
Well, and like the
Yeah.
best part is that, and what we've said is like Chaol's worst quality is that he's so judgmental and like bordering on racist, like doesn't like magic people, doesn't like people from outside of Adarlan, and now he is head to head with someone who has that exact same fault. Like she is prejudging him for being from Adarlan and like working for the king and just assuming that he's awful. And she's slowly learning that he's not, and like learning about how he and Dorian are different and are trying to make this big change. So we're getting there. Like she told him about her mom, like baby steps.
I do like that he immediately, like you can already tell that he's starting to change. Even in like the first couple of chapters, even before he met Irene. Because he was like, what are you gonna, there's not much he can do. He just has to sit and contemplate the life choices that he made. And one of those was like feeling guilt and about the events and how he felt towards, the Fays and Aelin.
And I also love that when he reflects on Aelin, he's like, oh yeah, that was my bad. Like, she's always wanted what's good for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I regret it. As you should, Chaol.
Yeah, he's learning. He's learning, and I think that like the paralysis will be a good thing in the end because it really made him like reassess his life and how he has led it up until now in his 23 long years of life.
Yeah. Plus, like, he doesn't have that control anymore. So sometimes he just has to accept what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. I love them.
Love it. What do you guys think of the Southern continent so far?
Very cool. It's got
Yeah,
its
I know,
problems.
like, yeah, my initial thought, like, when they first were describing it, and I think I texted Jamie. I don't know if I texted the group chat or just Jamie, so I
I
don't know
was
where
super
I was.
behind, so I probably wasn't on that text.
And I was like, oh my god, this land seems so cool. Why Adarlan needs to like learn. And then like the next page was about some uncool things they do there, and I was like, oh, maybe not.
I mean, there are pros and cons to the Southern continent. The pros being like there's no cost for education, and I was like, that's awesome. I love that. But
No
then
slavery.
no slavery. And then, but when they started talking about the system, and with the Coggin,
Yeah.
and like traditions there, that's when I was like, this is a little icky to me. How did you guys feel?
Oh, same. It's hard to like see this ruling family that is based entirely off of like the usually the male, but I think they've had female Coggins in the past. So like the Coggin basically pitting his children against each other so that they can choose their heir. Like they get to choose their heir and like put their name in a little like locked box so when they die, like they know who the heir is. And it's just
And
like
also like the
it's sad.
offsprings too. Like I did
Yeah.
not like that. Like
Yeah, when we've got like a pregnant sister who probably isn't going to be the next Coggin, and they're already talking about how like her baby, son, daughter, whatever, will probably be like hunted down and killed by whoever gets chosen. And I'm just like, that's awful. Why?
yeah.
I'm kind of hoping the like most recent Coggin is planning on doing something different because I feel like we haven't gotten a lot of his perspective or like a vibe of him. But we got that story about how like when he was fighting his brother to become the next Coggin, like he was going to save his life, and then his
Yes.
brother tried to like stab him, and
That's
then he killed his brother. So like it seems like he might want like a better tradition, especially like we haven't seen a lot of him interacting with his children. I think a lot of it has been assumptions about what's going to be next. So I don't know. I've kind of been hoping that that's not what he's going to want his children, like what he had to go through. But that could be me
Yeah.
being overly optimistic.
I think we
no,
all
I
hope for
think
that.
yeah, and I didn't really pick up on that, Elena, but I think that yeah, reading into like his past and how he tried to save his brother is probably a good indication of how he might be different from at least his dad or mom.
It
And
was
who's his
mom.
mom?
Their mom was the Coggin, how she like pitted them against each other to basically fight to the death for the airship.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like his kids are older now and he's older, and the fact that it doesn't seem out, at least outwardly, that he has sort of told them you don't need to like go for each other's jugulars in order to be the heir still makes me worried that there's not going to be like a big difference. But my hope is that we might see the next Coggin, who I already have a vote in for who that is going to
Do
be.
you?
But oh yeah. I'm
I think I
hoping
know
that
who it
they will be
is.
different. Oh, I vote Sartok 100%. Like
Yes.
I want my girl Nesryn to be the queen of her land.
I know that the Coggin has like a favorite, right? I don't know if you guys picked up on it, that it was
Mhm,
Kashin, right?
mhm. And whatever his other
Okay.
daughter's name is, whose name I can't remember.
Duva.
Duva, yeah.
Oh,
But I
Duva is
think
the this pregnant one, right?
Duva is the one that's married and pregnant,
Yeah.
so she's got like the only heir that is technically already
Yeah.
created. But I think in that I forget who was talking when that came out that they're his favorites. I think they were saying that like they are his heart's favorites, but not
Mhm.
his like mind's favorites. That
Okay.
he loves them the most as people, but that they are definitely not going to be his heir.
I don't know. I think other people have said that they're definitely not going to be his heir, but that conversation was Sartak to Nesryn, and he was saying that, like,
Mm.
Nesryn brought up that it seemed like he and someone else was the Coggin's favorites, and he said, no, these are their favorites, his favorites, because they've never betrayed him. So, like,
Mhm.
hypothetically, he could be leaning that way.
That's
Like, I
true.
think that's how I took that conversation.
Yeah.
But
So
I could have
maybe
read
it
it
would be
wrong.
caution.
There's also the point where he's been in mourning. So that could be a sign where, he could be leaning towards not following his mother's tradition of having the heirs
Mhm.
fight for the title. At least, yeah, that's the hope. But then, like, if you're mourning for your youngest, like your child,
Mhm.
regardless, like in what order they're in, I mean, I think that's a sign. And it's been like 2-3 weeks at that point when I think Chaol tried to approach him about something. He's like, "Nah, dude, like it's not the right time for this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Most of them
su-
do seem really torn up by Tumalin's
mhm.
death, which makes me feel better about them as a family.
I'm super worried about Sartak. Like, I love him and Nesryn. I think it's like am super into them being a thing. I really hope he's good. Like, I like him a lot. But I feel like we outwardly know that like Argan and Hassar
Hosar,
are
yeah.
kind of Hosar
Hosar.
are kind
Hosar.
of like shady and like are clearly kind of shady, and that Sartak is the other one that like everyone thinks it might be in line for the throne. So it just makes me worried that he seems so good when his other siblings are so shady.
I think when he told Nezrin that he prefers to be with the
Hmm.
Lukens,
Hmm.
I think that's like a sign that tells me that like he's not too involved with
Hmm.
his family, but he's here because of like he's also mourning his sister's death. So
But
I have hope that he's still like a good guy, and I also want him with Nezrin.
he also mentioned to Nesrin that uh Caution and oh my gosh, Duva are his father's favorites because they're the only ones that have never gone behind his back for like purposes, and that he has. And it's like, but for what? I don't know. I'm a little worried it's too good to be true.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely still feel myself being cautious. I would say like I'm like 2% cautious about him at this point. I'm just like, I want this to work out so bad. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. But
Yeah.
yeah, it does seem like because we've got at least I would say 2 other like very squirrely siblings who would probably be like the murderer, if it is one of the siblings that is killing people and not just the Valg. Or like, so he could be good. He could like dark horse and be totally awful, but I think I put a lot of stock in like him being a Rook rider and like the fact that Kadara like has this respect for him and they have this like mutual respect, and I have a hard time believing that like he can have that and then also be evil, which could just be super naive of me, but I'm like, he just seems like a solid guy. Like he could have easily just shoved
Solid.
Nesryn off of Kadara and been like, oops, she fell.
No, he'd never do that.
Yeah, I trust him. I'm still gonna like keep my ears open, but
Yeah. I trust him more than all the other siblings. And then
yeah.
maybe Duva, because she hasn't shown anything. She hasn't shown her cards or anything. So at least I don't think so.
She seems nice though, and there was that moment that Chaol caught where he realized that like Duva's husband like genuinely loves her. Like he caught that look between them. Yeah, which I was like,
I want more of
okay,
their
like,
story.
yeah, I was like, they're super solid. And just like thinking about what's going on in their mind, like knowing that there's probably a good likelihood that at some point they'll have to like leave the family to save their child or, future children from being killed by a sibling is, yeah, I was like, damn, guys. Yeah.
Well, I'm like 50% wary of Sartak.
50.
I don't know. I'm just so worried. Like, I
Elena.
really want Nesryn to be. I don't know what the queen. Like, is it called a queen?
The Empress?
Empress?
The Empress something? I forget. It was like Empress. High Empress, that's what it is. High Empress.
Yeah, I like want that for Nesryn because like you can see how much Nesryn loves it on the southern continent, like where they just walk in and she kind of has that feeling of relief that Aelin has when she walks into Terrasen. So like I think it would make so much sense having her be the Empress and like if her and Sartak work out, but just like all the other siblings are shady, so I'm skeptical of him. And then if
you think it's
not,
too good to be
being,
true?
yeah, if he ends up being really good, then I think something's gonna go down with Caution. Like they can't both be pretty good.
No, I don't trust Caution at all.
I don't either.
He's giving me weird vibes. I don't like it. Yeah, well, it's just like even when it comes down to it, and I understand a world in which like he falls for Irene and Irene basically tells him like I'm not interested, and I understand maybe him being like upset, like sad, upset, and then maybe trying to like reform a bridge for their friendship, but that's not the vibe I'm getting. The vibe I'm getting is like I own you and I just need to convince you that I own you and to be with me. And at some point, like I just get like really weird forcey vibes and I'm not liking where it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't like that.
No.
Yeah. Or the whole thing where she's like, oh, I can't be in your bedroom in case Caution finds out. Like,
yeah. That's not good. Like that's not a friend. That is, yeah.
Even like Sartak was like, oh, I'm not gonna move forward with or make any moves with Irene because my brother will have something to say.
Yeah. So I get a lot more worried about Caution and like definitely Hassar at this point, like after she threatened Irene basically to be like,
and I really liked her at first.
Yeah, no, I was so down. I was like, I love the idea that this place is like chill with like a potentially like lesbian Coggin, like absolutely 100% down with that, like was so excited. And then she goes like, you might not make it across the ocean if you don't work with me. I'm like, come on, like you were cool 2 seconds ago.
You guys are friends. Friends don't threaten each other.
Right. Yeah. And that was a bummer especially because of their friendship and like her friendship with Hassar's partner. And yeah. So I don't like her. I don't like Argan. Like half of the siblings are awful.
I also didn't love the implication of how jealous she gets over her partner. Like how she's like, she can't really have friendships, otherwise Hassar would get mad. Red flag.
A lot of very controlling people in this family.
Yes. What do you guys think about Tumalin's suicide? Like, do you think it was a suicide, or do you think she was murdered? And if you think she was murdered, like, who did it?
I definitely do think she was like. There's no way she wasn't like just casually died right before they shot. Like, it's definitely murder.
Yeah.
But maybe the mom. And a weird hot take.
Interesting.
We just haven't seen a lot of the mom. Everyone says she's in mourning, and there's that weird scene where she's like, they describe her as like unfeeling, like unseeing, just like totally blank face, and then walks behind a boulder and was acting weird, which I think we're meant to interpret as grief, but it seemed like more to like if she's possessed by a Valak somehow. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're two different things. I think like the Valg that is clearly in the city, at least like the one Valg that like killed the healer in the library and was hunting Irene, I think is separate from Tumalin's death. I think they're two different things. And I think that either the mom, my personal theory is that the mom knows which one of her children killed Tumalin. So not only is she grieving that death, but she's grieving the fact that she could bring the killer to justice, but that it's also one of her children. So like she has to like
that's a really good
out,
theory.
Yeah, because well, and I might have been taking it too surface level, but it did really seem like extreme grief, which to me seemed like there was another layer, which I think that guilt might be what she's feeling.
Yeah, I also saw it as like, just this is how she's grieving. Even though there wasn't anyone around her, I didn't really have any suspicions about that. I could actually see it both ways. Like, it could be a suicide, or that she could have been murdered by a sibling. And if it was a sibling, I'm kind of thinking Caution or Hussar. But it could be any of them. It could be any of them. I like how trippy would it be that Caution is the one that approached, was it Chaol or Nesryn, about trying to find info about, and then what if it was really him?
I almost wonder that too, Jamie. Like, he's like, oh, I was so close with my sister. And I feel like that would line up if he was secretly, like, not as good and loyal as everyone thinks he is, that it would make sense being him.
Yeah, because we do know that he's very loyal to his father.
Yeah. It seems like it would also be a good way to get Irene, because he might be thinking that the only reason Irene doesn't want to be with him is for the political reasons of like, if I marry you, then I might have to be like sterilized, and or any children that we've had at this point might be killed. But we know that like she's just not into him.
I feel like that's the one thing we're missing is motive, right? Like, why would someone have killed her? Because she's the youngest and we don't really know much about her, but there has to be a reason.
Right. And she doesn't seem to be like part of the competition as heir, so it's like, why even bother taking her out of the competition?
I think she like had something on one of them that would have made it so that they wouldn't have been chosen, and they were protecting themselves that way. Because she doesn't sound like she would have had an actual claim to the Kagan ship. So,
was there a body? Like, was there definitively a body?
Yes, there was definitely a body, and I trust it's Hafiza. She's so definitely dead. Hafiza is the one who examines the body and declares it a suicide, which I think also tells us that it wasn't the Valg that killed her, because the Valg like drain you, like that's what happened to the healer in the library. So it was definitely two different things.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that was my next question. Like, who do you guys think killed the healer in the library? Any clues? Any ideas?
I have to assume we haven't met them yet. Like, I would think there would have been some clue or some mention of something noticeable about like eyes, or I don't know.
I think all we do know is that whoever attacked and killed this healer, they were actually looking for Irene. So part of me was like, So the part of me was like, is it Cashin?
Plot twist, it's Lorcan.
What is he doing down here?
What? Lorcan?
May give you an
Um,
order.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it's always really easy to tell who is possessed by the Valk, right? The black eyes, especially, and like the rings and the collars. So if someone is passing as not Valk possessed, then this is like a very different possession than what we've seen in the past, which I don't think we can rule out. But like Chaol constantly is like checking for all those signs and is not finding someone. So that's why it's either going to be a different type of possession that doesn't show the black eyes and Chaol wouldn't notice, or it is like someone outside of what we've seen so far that's like lurking in the sewers.
Yeah, and I think you can say a lot about Chaol, but you can't say he's unobservant.
No, he's very observant.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he has time for now. Like, for better or worse, is like
Exactly.
he's just sitting at dinner, like checking everybody for black eyes, like considering having everyone like slit their hands open to check their blood color. It's like, Chaol, that's intense.
Well, it
No,
is what
you
he's
can't
known
do
to
that.
do as captain of the guard. You know, when he was he had to protect Dorian. It's like one of those things that he had to do. So
Yeah.
it's not like, yeah.
He's learning more about himself, which was very needed.
Yeah. It's like I don't think like throughout the series, like he didn't realize what he was like his mindset was and
Yeah.
how his actions like and how he treated people. And you know, like Aelin, like how he when it turns out that she was Fae and he reacted that way. Scared
Yeah.
and
And Chaol's not a bad person. Like he's not abusive or anything, but I think I was really realizing in the beginning of this book that like Chaol has always been like just very selfish in like not like an outward way, but he's never like been really caring about other people other than Dorian.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like but like in almost a detached way. Like I know he loves Dorian for who he is, but it's like I'm protecting my king and the future of my country, and it's not like him really caring about the person that Dorian is, and like he was never very like caring or doting
Mm.
on Selena either. But like with Irene, he already is like, and I he's never doted on Nesryn either. I've already forgotten that they're a thing because gross. But like with Irene, he's already like concerned about her and like lay down and rest and like, are you okay? And I'm just like, who is this man that has been in the past like 4 books? I feel like I'm just meeting him.
We like the side of
Um,
Chaol.
Yeah.
We do like this side of Chaol. My official theory right now, Chaol and Nesryn are definitely going to have an awkward chapter worth of like them being like, oh, should we still hook up now that you almost have your legs back? And it's gonna be so awkward.
Oh, I don't
Oh.
want that. I really don't want that.
It's actually kind of hard to see like how awful Chaol is to Nesryn. And like he doesn't realize how awful he is to her. While also how great he is to Irene, like someone who he does not realize he has feelings for, like kind of hates a little bit. And I'm just like, oh boy, buddy, like when she offered to hook up with you and you just didn't say anything, like, yikes. No,
And
thank
then
you.
I think so. Even there's a scene before that where like before they got into a fight or something, or he was expecting her to come visit his room and she never did. And I was like,
Yes.
where do you get that?
No,
Like,
he
right?
offered.
Or like,
He was like, "Are
yeah.
you gonna go to your room or mine?" And I was like, "Ooh, gross booty call, Chaol." And then when she tries to like booty call him, he shuts down. I was like, "All right,
Oh
this
god.
communication between the two of you is dead. Please move on."
Yes, we
He was
need them to
booty
move
calling
on.
her. I don't think
I mean
he was
that
booty calling her. I think he was doing like the Aelin Rowan thing where they had shared a bed for the entire ship ride, and then he was like, "We should just
no.
share a bed." No, I don't think it was a booty call.
So I think that it's different with Chaol and Nesryn because of their history. Like they just like
Yeah, they
were
just hook
friends with
up just
benefits for
to
like a whole
yeah.
summer. And I think that it's that they both feel like they could easily go back to that, but they're so awkward about it because now they're trying to put feelings to it that aren't there.
I'm sorry, I
It's
didn't get beautiful like one bed trope vibes from Nesryn and Chaol like I did.
you know what I did get beautiful one bed trope vibes from?
What?
Chaol and
Irene.
Irene. When he's like, I'm going into my bedroom because if I'm going to be in pain, I'm going to be on my bed. I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's move this to the bedroom.
I do like how Irene was like kind of like respectful of what she thought is like a relationship, but she doesn't know that like they're not together in that way. So I
They
think
are
like they just
technically, though. Like, Chaol and Nesryn still kind of are together, and I think Irene realizes
yeah.
that, but she doesn't realize why it's weird, because no one realizes why it's weird, except for us.
Why?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
convinced we're
okay.
gonna get a Chaol, Nesryn, icky, like them being like, "This is what we are," and it just being really awkward.
I think it's gonna be, like, at one point, Chaol's either gonna say something about Irene, or, like, Nesryn's gonna say something about Sartak that, like, clicks for the other one or both of them at the same time, that they're like, "Oh, you got feelings for someone that isn't me."
Yeah.
I'm
I've been
worried
getting
that they. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're worried what?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm worried they don't come out as friends after this.
Oh
Like,
no,
Well,
I think they'll still be friends.
guys, there's no way Nesryn goes back to Adarlan. Like, Chaol came here with Nesryn, and he's leaving with Irene. Like, hands down, I
no,
will. Yeah.
No,
he
I
goes
think
back.
Nesryn's gotta go back too. Maybe she can
He has
take
to find her
control.
family. Unless her family comes to the southern continent and like joins her there, she's going back to Adarlan to find her family.
We'll see.
I was just about to mention her family because even her family was like, bring that prince with you next time.
I got so uncomfortable when her aunt was like, "When are you gonna bring a visitor?" And I was like, "Oh, don't talk about Chaol. They can't be together." And then she was like, "I meant Sartak," and I was like, "Me too." Thanks, aunt.
Yes, Auntie.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
She's hip to the flow.
No,
love it.
I don't think they're gonna be friends because I think it's gonna be like Nesryn like finds out things from Sartak and doesn't tell Chaol, and then it's like their communication is not good. And I just don't see them developing these feelings where they're gonna like be talking to other people and like I don't know. I'm just worried. They don't communicate well with each other. And I could easily see there being a miscommunication.
Oh, I hate miscommunication tropes. But I don't know. I think because they both have potential love interests that they could work it out together and be friends.
That's what I'm hoping. As long as Sartak isn't evil, which I think there's still a 2% chance of. There's anywhere from 2% to 50%, if you ask me and Elena.
I'm like gearing towards like the good side.
Yeah, what percent are you at, Jamie? Like 10, 15?
of him being bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say like 10%.
All right.
I don't
Yeah,
think there's a
very, very
50%
low.
chance that he is bad. I think it's lower than that. I'm just 50% cautious.
Okay.
I'm not. I need them together.
I'm
I
all
need
in.
them to hook up, do something.
I want them to do a whole new world on Kadara's back.
Yes!
Just like I need
also
that.
like that like it's to get away from everyone because like they're always being watched. Someone's watching them, finding like information about them. And the only way that they can be alone to get on the rook and fly away.
Yeah,
Give me more
Kadara
of
like
that.
killing that huge like swamp lizard. I was like, damn, that's a big chicken raven thing. Trying to picture what she looks like. I have no idea. Like a big eagle.
I also imagine her as the big eagle. Yeah.
Brooke, if you don't think Nesryn's leaving the southern continent, is your theory then that the Kagan dies, Sartak
Yes.
and Nesryn become Emperor and Empress, send troops to Adarlan to help Chaol?
Yeah, and it might be that Nesryn does go back as like a fighting force, and I realize that like her becoming Empress does seem like too good to be true, but that's what I'm hoping for at the very least. But I think that like Nesryn has realized that this is where she belongs. Like this is where she's always wanted to be, and I think that even if she does go back to Adarlan to like help fight, like this is going to be her new home.
I could see that too. Like whether she stays or goes, like I still think like the southern continent is where his home where her home is.
Yeah.
Because I remember like her wondering why her father never came back here
Yeah.
after they had moved and her mother had passed.
Well, they would visit, right? It's not like he never went back to the southern continent at all.
No, I don't think. No,
I don't
they
think
never
ever
went
even
back.
visited.
Yeah.
It was something
They
like
didn't
that
visit?
no, I don't think so. I
Mm-mm.
think it was like he came to Adarlan and that was it. I think maybe Nesryn went back with her mom. I'm forgetting.
I don't remember.
Heather's definitely been there before. Because she like makes
Yeah.
a reference over like, oh, I don't know if they live in the same place. And for some reason I thought
Right.
they just like made family trips back before. But maybe I'm
Maybe.
because I
Yeah, I
think it
can't
would have a
remember.
different
Fact check this.
implication.
Somebody fact check
Yeah.
us quick. Help us out.
If her father never went back, I think that has a different implication. Because it's like there would be a reason he didn't go back.
I
Like,
think it was that her mom didn't want to go back. At least that's what I've assumed.
I just
That-
thought it was because I didn't have the time. They had already established like that they live there now. Like this is their home. He has like a job and a business to run, and there just wasn't any time. That's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
And then of course, 10 years ago, when the towers went up and magic disappeared and all of that.
I think this is probably where she's gonna stay though. That's my guess. And I don't know if it's like that she goes to fight with them or if it's sort of like a you got this, Chaol. Like I trust you to take the forces and make it happen. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how deep into this book the Kagan dies. And I don't know if it's like at the halfway point or more towards the end. But because I just feel like a lot of that internal struggle has to happen in this book, and that's what's going to determine if Chaol comes back with armies. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know
I think I'm optimistic that he will have support by the
Yeah.
end. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
going to be from the Kagan or like the Kagan dies and someone takes over and that's where he gets the support from. But regardless, like I think I'm pretty positive or hopeful that he will have support for the war.
I don't know. Or he might not. And then he goes back and is all dejected and is like, oh, we're so screwed. And then Manon comes in with like all of the black blood. Blackbeak.
Can we talk about everything that we keep hearing about that's going on in Adarlan? Because that just reminded me of that when, like, the first thing that we learn is that Rifthold has been sacked. They were just like, yep, Duke Parrington's forces and the Wyverns have taken over Rifthold. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to need, like, a more reliable source on this. Like, what is going on? Because I can't imagine, like, Manon and the 13 being part of that at all.
I mean, maybe like if they're trying to keep their cover.
That's
but,
right,
like,
Jamie knows. Jamie knows.
Jamie
I know,
knows
I
that
read
this is
it.
what- This is what Jamie knows that she can't confirm, and Brooke and I are just gonna throw out theories
Yep. I'm just gonna
wildly.
sit and
Also the fact that, I mean, it's interesting that we should know, because we should be reading this book second, so we should know what happened in Rifthold, but we have no idea.
no, you guys are in exactly same position as Chaol. He doesn't know either. He had to ask his what's her name? Kaja? To go to the docks and like confirm the sources because he's hearing it from an heir who could be messing with him.
Who is Kaja a spy for? Can we just throw out
Oh,
names?
you think? Oh, interesting.
I don't
She
trust
definitely
her.
is.
I don't trust her.
She just seemed a little eager, but maybe that's just like I don't know.
Well, and there have been several references to just like her being at the door like this.
Oh, that's true. And she's just like right there, like yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
Give him a bath.
That
Honestly,
happy ending
I
bath.
read it. Honestly, I just read that like I just thought it was because she just finds him attractive, but now that maybe there is something. Maybe she is a spy.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of mentions that like this is normal for this place, right? That like all the servants are like this. They will literally do whatever
And they get
you
paid
want.
and like
Yes.
I like that too.
Yeah, and I still am kind of weird about like the sexual favor offer because I wonder how like, you know, how much choice she has in that. But they do say
true,
that like
yeah.
they're really well taken care of. Like they've got really great pay, etc. And even if we assume that like they're totally choosing to do this, yeah, I don't like dislike her. I'm cautious. I don't like definitely distrust her and think that she's definitely a spy, but she does seem to be there all the time. And it's like, is it because she's just really good at her job, or is it because she's purposely listening to everything?
Yeah.
I don't dislike her. I distrust her. I think she is a spy, but like that's just her job. She knows her.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always someone watching them. So I think that's a fair theory
Yeah.
that she could be a spy.
But yeah, back to the Dorian thing. He's definitely with Manon right now, right? Like,
Oh, 100%.
no matter who sacked Rifthold, Manon saved Dorian's dumb little ass. Sorry,
This is what I
shouldn't say that.
picture. Like yeah, Dorian's dumb little ass. This is what I picture, right? Duke Parrington and his like wyvern forces are coming in and they're all like, pew, pew, Rifthold, like we're gonna take you down. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 13 wyverns just swoop down, grab Dorian, off. Done.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how right or wrong I am.
I think you're right. There's no way that's not exactly what
Mimi's
happened.
doing a lot of
Word
laughing for me to be
for
right.
I love the theatrics that you guys are doing.
But yeah, I also assumed that no matter what happened in Rifthold, that Manon has taken Dorian for good reasons, that they're like gonna go work together.
And then Aelin's also missing supposedly. Like everyone else is in Terrasen and Aelin's just missing. Is that Portal? I'm interpreting that as like she's just not.
What portals, Elena?
I was gonna say, yeah, what portals?
Someone gets zapped by a portal? I'm nervous. I have to say, like my immediate gut reaction was nerves. And I tried to talk myself out of it and I was like, okay, Aelin likes to do her own thing. Maybe she was just like, peace out, mofos. Like, I'm gonna go over here and do this thing. But I am worried. I'm like worried that she got like queen taken. Like queen napped.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
No, I don't think napped. I could see her like being like in a portal or world or something doing like secret spy mission.
That sounds very weird for this book series, Elena. I don't know where you're getting these ideas from.
There's literally a portal in Throne of Glass. Like where she like went in. I don't remember why, but there was that portal.
To save Chaol and Fleetfoot? That one?
Yeah. That one. Yeah, I know. But whatever it is, I don't think she's missing with Dorian. Like I think they're missing separately, right? Is that our assumption?
Well, let me ask you this. Where did we leave off with Aelin?
She just found the Terrasen.
Yeah, the like Aelin Rowan group had just arrived at Terrasen and had their like cute little look, we're home. And Rowan was like, I never knew this was the place I was searching for. And that's why I think I get Queen Nap vibes, because I ask myself, what would make her leave Terrasen at this moment? Like what I can't see what it would be.
You say Queen Nap?
Queen napped, like she got napped, like someone napped her.
Kidnapped. Gotcha.
Yeah, not the good kind of nap, the like bad kind of nap.
Got it.
I think she went through a portal and is like recruiting a hell army. Like she's getting her own Valg army.
She's
going through
portals somehow. Does she have the book with her?
Uncertain. No. We never found it again, did we, Brooke?
So the last time that the book was mentioned,
our bookkeeper.
I got this. The last time that The Walking Dead was mentioned was when Chaol took it out of Celaena's room at the end of Heir of Fire. We have not seen it since.
But was it named in name, or was it just he took a bunch of her important looking books?
I think it was he took a bunch of her important books.
Okay.
But I assume that is in it because she specifically like gave that book to Dorian and was like, read this and take good care of it. So I don't know where the book is right now. My assumption would be that Chaol brought it to Aelin's apartment, but we haven't seen it since then.
Brooke thinks Aelin was taken. I think she's recruiting an army. TBD. Jamie, what do you think? Why don't you just tell us what you think?
No,
tell
don't
you?
tell us. I don't want to know.
Crazy.
I don't want to know. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But
Right,
yeah,
so-
I do find myself very anxious about what's going on the other side of the world. And at first, when they mentioned Rifthold, which I think was like in chapter 3, I was like, why are we reading this book and not the other one? But I don't feel that way anymore. So we've gotten past that hump.
Good. But
That being said-
basically, you're in the same boat as Chaol because he has no idea what's going on. Like he's like beside himself, like worried that Dorian is missing and or dead. So like but I think it's said that he knows that he's alive and he's somewhere, just
He,
not
like,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like he says, like, there's nothing he can do really. Like, he has to get back to being able to walk so that he can be like at his full potential in order to help. So he and Nesryn are just like, well, I guess we just have to like get you better as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for him to realize his worth isn't connected to his ability to walk.
Yeah.
But since he's already getting feeling back in his toes, I don't know if we're gonna get that realization from him.
I had wondered if it would end with him not being able to walk, but I'm wondering if we can do both. Like, I'm wondering if this journey is going to teach him that he does have more to offer than just like his brute strength, but also allow him to walk again and like be thankful for that at the same time.
Every time Irene has a thought where she's like, damn, look at how muscled he is. Like, look at him shirtless.
Imagine if he's like fully I was gonna say erect, but I meant like standing tall.
Sure you did. Standing
Right.
tall.
She has that thought when they're like laying next to each other on like the couch or the bed or whatever, and she's like, damn, so tall. Like, if he could stand, he'd be like, here.
Like,
I think
yeah, girl.
she wants to climb like a tree.
Hmm. I'm just waiting.
All right. Any thoughts before we wrap up, or any theories what's gonna happen next? Anything we missed discussing?
I am really excited for Abraxas and Kadara to meet and find out
That
that,
would be
they
really
are in
cool.
love. I'm waiting for that relationship.
I don't know. Like I'm kind of team Elite and Abraxas.
Lead in Abraxas. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think like a lot is being set up, but I think at this point we have a lot more questions than answers.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes because I thought it would take Kale a lot longer to walk than it seems like it's going to.
You
And
can only
also,
move like 5 toes, Elena. Like it's still
well,
early
they
days.
made it seem like an insurmountable mental wall, which I guess we didn't talk about, like the whole like memory of the Val, like the dark magic that's just in him. But I don't think there's really much to that other than the fact they're gonna fight their way through it.
No, I mean, I think that's really important. I think it's important to say that, like, it's not a physical ailment. It's
Mhm.
not like, you know, in like the real world, like, it's not like he just broke a vertebra in his spine and like needs to be healed that way. It's very
Yeah.
much like it seems like a piece of Valg is in him, like, basically has control on his psyche and is
Mhm.
making it so that like the little physical damage can't be fixed. And like Irene has said that, like, you're going to need to grapple with what's inside you that is feeding this like darkness. And I love that they're like starting down that path together because they both have to do it. Like, I think that's the key is that they're both
Mhm.
going to need to like speak truths in order to get him better.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They can heal together.
Oh, I can't wait. Heal together in that one bed. Give it to me.
Yeah, I'm
love that.
excited to watch that grow, and then I'm just excited to get through this book so we can find out where the heck Aelin is.
It's gonna be great.
Like, this book is still better than I thought it was going to be, but that doesn't mean I'm not sitting here being like, can we please find out what happened in Rifthold? And
I will
Thank
say
you for
I
putting your
don't.
trust in me.
Yeah, I don't
in
feel that
this
way
reading
anymore.
order.
I genuinely
You-
don't feel that way. No, I'm like
I-
curious, but I'm very invested in this already. Like very excited to
me
see where it
too.
goes.
I'm like, I just love the whole world building in Throne of Glass. Like, it's so diverse. It's so huge.
Yeah.
I love that we get to go to, like, we went across the continent or the sea to Doranel. Then we get to go into another continent. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, went to the Red Wastes in Assassin's Blade. Like, it's huge, and just like all the different cultures and people. It's awesome.
So amazing.
So many gods and goddesses.
So many. 39, right? 39.
38. We're gonna read
38.
through to chapter 38.
Oh no, I meant gods and goddesses.
Oh,
39 is like the special number. Maybe we should read to 30. 38 for next time.
Yeah, through chapter 38.
38.
I forgot about.
Did
the
Elena
number of
already
gods
leave
and
to go
goddesses.
read? Elena, you're
No.
just
Hi,
bringing
Winnie.
a dog. That's
Winnie was
acceptable.
barking.
Winnie, are you excited to read 20 more chapters for next week?
For next week?
Winnie's
Is it next
excited.
week?
Well, I mean, I just figured that's probably when this episode will
next
come out. It's
time.
like a week from now, even though we'll probably talk about it in like 48 hours. But yeah, I would say at this point, if anyone is like also not excited to read this book, get excited. Like, it is worth it. Genuinely very, very well written, as it should be. It's an SJM novel. And Chaol isn't awful after like chapter 4.
Yeah, just bear through it. It gets better.
It does.
He still has his moments.
Sure, but
It
now
does.
I'm fully into it. The minute
I'm
I saw
on
Irene's name,
Chaol. Yes.
I know.
I mean, we knew. We knew she was coming
We
back.
literally were discussing this, and you had only read through chapter 3, and we were talking about POVs. And I was like, "Do we get any POVs that aren't Irene, that aren't Chaol or Nesryn?" And you were like, "I don't know. I haven't even read like the first page of chapter 4. Like,
that was very
so far
sneaky
it's
of
only
you.
been." No, I hadn't read it yet.
Oh, I
read
thought
it.
you guys already knew that we get Irene's perspective, and you were like, "Hey, Brooke, any other POVs?"
No, Jamie knew. That was before I had started reading it. And you were like, as of this, I haven't. And then I literally turned over, like, when I read it, and it was chapter 4, I was like, damn, Brooke should have read the first page.
Yeah, I think I fell down in the middle of chapter 3. That's how bad it was. I was like, "No, we're good for tonight. 5 pages was enough." Yeah, Irene's great. She's definitely my favorite part of this book.
Loved her since the Assassin's Blade. I'm so glad we got to see her
Mhm.
again, and that she's
great.
thriving. She's thriving so much at. Brooke, say the name of the tower, please.
Oh, the Torre Chesme.
Thank you.
Which I thought it was a soft C up until right before this episode when we looked up the pronunciation guide. So. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, read the book. Read through chapter 38 with us for next time, and we'll meet you back here and see if we've figured some stuff out. Fingers crossed.
Check back in to see if the Kagan's still alive.
See if the Kagan's still
Yeah.
alive. That's all we're coming back for. Bye, guys.
Bye.